Hi, hello everyone. This is RK. Welcome back to my channel Bytecode with RK. If you are new to my channel, please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. For notifications, click on bell icon. So far, we have discussed function interfaces. That is, what is function interfaces, how we will write the function interfaces with the syntax, and what are the predefined function interfaces like consumer, supplier, predicate, function, unary, binary, the implementation. Now we will cover other function interfaces from the Java 8. So whatever we have seen is right that those are the basic function interfaces. So whatever we are going to discuss, right, these are like advance of the existing function interfaces. So let us see one by one. Okay, the first one is by functional interface. Okay, by functional interface is the first one. The second one is SS, functional interface. Okay, SS function interface. Here SS represents the wrapper type, that could be int, long, float, or double, that could be anything. Let me write here only. Here SS represents any data type like int, long, float, double, whatever I am writing before the function interface, which means it could be into function interface. Function interface means that could be a consumer, supplier, predicate, unary, binary, operate function interfaces. Okay, and so I can assume like into, if I take int as example, into consumer, into supplier, into predicate, into unary, into binary operator. Like, let me write a small example on this. Int into consumer, int supplier. Okay, like this we should write the function interfaces. The third one is object obj ss dot ss function interface. Okay, so it was taking object as input and also ss as an input for this function interface. Okay, let me read the four. We will discuss each one separately. Two, this is functional interface. So 2 into function interface, 2 into consumer, 2 into supplier, 2 into predicate. Like that we will write. Okay, the next one is fifth one, ss 2 xx. Okay, functional interface. Okay, so I am writing here ss and xx represents. Okay, taking ss type and returning xx type. Okay, double s and double x represents the data types like into, long, float, double, and type. Okay, so it was taking input as ss, means any one of these data types, and then returning double x in the sense it is returning any one of these type. This is all about the basic info of other functional interfaces from the Java 8. Let us see one by one with examples. The first one is bifunctional. So bifunctional means the name itself you can understand, right? Bifunctional is the function interface from the Java 8. It is available in java.util.function package. So bifunctional function interface also an interface like consumer, supplier, predicate, unary, binary. So for those function interfaces, if we add by before that function interfaces, so it was, I am telling here by is and then function interface. So I am adding b by before the functional interface. Functional interface could be anything, right? Consumer, supplier, predicate, unary, binary, all those things will comes, right? So if I add by before the functional interface means the functional interface, whatever the functional interfaces we have so far, right, seen, those functional interfaces will accept extra parameter, means accepts extra input apart from what it actually accepts. Okay, it will accept the one extra parameter compared to the normal functional interfaces. Okay, if we add by before the functional interfaces, it will add the extra parameter to that function interfaces. Okay, let me write the definition here itself. It will take the extra input parameter meter as an input, sorry, as an input to the functional interface. Okay, so it will take the extra parameter. Suppose consumer, if we take the consumer, so in case of consumer is a functional interface which takes single input and returns nothing. Okay, but if we apply a by before the consumer functional interface, right, it will accept two input parameters. Normally consumer accepts a single parameter. If we add by before the consumer function interface, it will take one more extra parameter than the usual accepting parameters. Okay, now it will accept two input parameters. These bifunctional interface is not applicable for all the interfaces. Okay, so it will applicable only for the, let me write that statement also. Not applicable for all the functional interfaces. Okay, example, not applicable means it is not applicable for the supplier, and also not applicable for the unary, not applicable for the binary. Okay, this is not applicable for the supplier, unary, binary, but it will applicable for the consumer, predicate, and a function interfaces. Okay, applicable for consumer, predicate, and function interfaces. Okay, so by function is a functional interface. So any functional interface received by is nothing but by functional interface. As per the definition, bifunctional interface is a functional interface which accepts extra parameter to the functional interface. So it is a bifunctional interface is not applicable for all the interfaces and applicable for the few interfaces. It is applicable for the consumer, predicate, and a function interface, and not applicable for the supplier, unary, and a binary operators. Okay, why it is not applicable for the supplier means, if you know the definition of supplier, you will come to know why it is not applicable for the supplier function interface. Supplier means supplier is the one which doesn't take any input and returns something. So supplier itself, it doesn't take any input. Then if you apply by before the supplier interface, right, which is useless. That's why they are not applying the by before the supplier. And about the unary operator, unary also, like the name itself, what we will understand, right? Unary means it will accept a single only. Unary means single only. So that's why they are not applying by before the unary. If we apply by before the unary, what will happen? It will take extra parameter. Unary accepts a single parameter and returns a single value, but both input and output should be of same type. So if you apply by before the unary operator means it will take extra parameter. The purpose of unary is defeated, right? The name they have given unary. Unary means single only it should accept. If you should not apply by before the unary operator. So for that purpose only they have not applied by before the unary operator. What about the binary operator? Binary operator is like already this binary means two input parameters it will take. So already it was taking two input parameters and it was extended by function functional interface. Okay, that's why it was not applying by before this binary operator, because by function extended by this one, and also it was a binary operator which takes two parameters, right, input parameters. That's why that by function is not applicable for this binary operator. Okay, let us see the example. So bifunctional interfaces. Okay, so I have defined created a method, and now I am creating the method. Okay, let me take example of the bifunction. I'm taking function is an interface which takes single input So I am importing the function interface which is from the Java8 function package. Now if you see this bifunction is a function interface which takes single parameter and returns single value. Okay, here I am param1. Okay, I am writing a statement to apply this one. By function dot apply. So apply is accepting one parameter. Okay, let me run this one. Okay, if you see I am passing 10. Okay, so it will take 10 as an input. Right here I am providing implementation, lambda style implementation for the apply method, abstract method of the functional interface. So here I am passing 10, it will take 10 as input and returns the same 10. Okay, nothing much I am doing here. Let me write function. This is like a function interface. Okay, which takes single parameter as input and a single parameter as the output. So it was taking input as a param1 and returning the same param. Now come to bifunction. So bifunction can be applied to the existing function interfaces. So function is the existing function interface. I am applying by before this function interface. Okay, so it was available in Java8 function package. I am importing this one. Okay, if you see here bifunction, T and U are two types of the inputs. R is the return value. Okay, so it should accept two parameters. So let us assume integer 1 and integer 2 are the two input parameters. Okay, input parameters, I am adding extra parameter that is of type integer only. Now you see it was accepting. The error here earlier it was showing red color. It was accepting two input parameters and returning a single return value, right? I am passing, that's why I am passing three parameters. I should pass one more parameter here, param2. Okay, and returning same only, star param2. It was accepting two input parameters, right? I should pass one more parameter here. I am passing two input parameters 10 and 10, that is param1 and param2, and inside it do the multiplication of two parameters param1 and into param2, that is 10 into 10, it will return 100. Okay, by function, let me run again. If you see here by function interface, so you can use like wherever you have a requirement, like you need to pass two parameters and return single value. For that case you can go with the by function interface. Okay, Let me take the another example of the same. Consumer is the function interface which takes single parameter. Okay, let me import the consumer java.utility functional package. It takes single parameter, right? Sorry, consumer doesn't return anything, that's why I am writing this out. I can remove this one. Or should I run param1? As per the definition of the consumer function interface, it takes single value and returns nothing, right? That's why I am here in accept method I am passing 10. So I am writing implementation for the accept method in lambda style, that is abstract method of the consumer function interface. So now I would like to add by before this consumer function interface. So if I add by before this consumer function interface, so what it is, I need to import this one first. So still it was showing error. Why? Because so if you see here, by consumer is the function interface which takes two input parameters, but what I am doing here, I am passing one. Why it is throwing error? Because by is the added before the consumer function interface. Earlier it will accept single parameter. Now by adding by before this consumer function interface, it was asking to add extra parameter as input. Okay, so that's why it was throwing error. And now I would like to add one more input parameter. Now there are gone here, right? So I should change here also param2, and I am doing here plus param2. Now here also it should accept 20. Now if you see, it was not throwing any error. Nowhere it is showing any error, right? So by function consumer is a function interface which takes two input parameters and returning nothing. I am not returning here, I am just printing the statement, nothing returning. Okay, let me run this one. It was taking 10 and 20 as input parameters, and I am doing addition inside it. 10 plus 20, 30 it should return. Let me run this one. So it was returning 30. Okay, let me take one more example of the same. I am taking predicate. Okay, let me import a predicate. Okay, predicate is the one which takes single parameter and returns boolean value. Okay, I am taking a predicate of type string. Okay, and it should return something inside it, right? Return param1 dot length equal to 14. By predicate, right? So I would like to remove this first of all. Dot test is the method. Okay, now I am passing byte code with rk as input. Okay, now if you see here, Predicate is the function interface which takes input a single input parameter of type param1 of type string and returns boolean value. So here I am passing to the test method, that is abstract method. So for that I am passing bytecode as an input. Okay, so it was taking param1 as the bytecode with rk, and it was checking finding the length, and length equal to 14, then it should return true. If length is not equal to 14, it should return false. Okay, it should return 14 because I am passing 14 character. Now let me run this one. Now if you see by predicate, it is returning true because I am passing bytecode with rk as 14 characters. It was checking inside param dot length equal to 14 or not. If it is 14, then it will return true. That's why it is returning true. Okay, so now what I will do, I will apply before this predicate by. Okay, what will happen, first import this one. I am importing by function. Now it is still throwing because by function accept two parameters, t and u type. Okay, t and u type parameters, input parameters, it should accept. So predicate is the one which accepts a single parameter. If you apply by before this predicate, it should accept two parameters. Okay, now I am adding one more input parameter. Okay, now error has gone here. Earlier it was showing red color, now it is accepting two input parameters, right? That's why here it is not throwing. Here it is accepting two input parameters, right? I should pass one more input parameter here. Okay, that is 2. Now what I am doing, I am checking param 2. I am taking two input parameters. I am checking the param1 dot length equal to param2 or not. So for that I should pass extra parameter here. Okay, that's why it was throwing error. I am passing 14. So it was 14, right? Bytecode with rk is 14. I am checking, passing 14 also. So two input parameters I am passing, param1 and param2. Now it was checking param1 dot length equal to param2 or not. Okay, I am running it again. So it was returning true because bytecode with rk is the 14 character length, right? When to use this by function interface means, if you want to pass extra parameter predefined function interfaces, then you should go for the by function interfaces. I hope this is clear for all of you. It is all about by functional interfaces. Okay, let me go to the second one. The second one is SS functional interface. Okay, here if you see SS, here is nothing but a wrapper class types like int, a long, double, float, like this. Okay, that could be into consumer, into supplier, into predicate, like that. It like SS means it takes it is applying before the function interface. So I am applying int before the consumer. That's why it is becomes into integer int consumer, which means it should as per the consumer definition. Consumer is the function interface which accepts single parameter, right? If you want to pass integer type as input for the consumer interface, then you should use int consumer. If you want to pass as a long, then you should go for long consumer, like this way, double, float consumer, boolean consumer. Like this way we can apply the wrapper type classes before the function interfaces. Okay, so if you write any SS before the function interface means it should accept that as an input type. Okay, let me write an example with this. Okay, wrapper type function interfaces. Okay, this is the method I want to write. I just declared. Now I want to create the same. I'm taking this one. Int. Okay, I'm just modifying according to the consumer function interface. Okay, and it was not. So I have modified according to the consumer function interface, normal consumer function interface, that is int consumer, right? I would like to, okay, let me run this one. Before applying the ss type, I'm passing 10. Okay, so it was accepting 10 and then printing as per the definition of consumer, which takes single parameter and returns nothing. So it was taking single parameter only and it was returning nothing, just printing the statement, right? What is ss? Means ss is like wrapper types. I'm applying ss before the function interface, means applying wrapper types before the any function interface. Now I would like to add wrapper type is like int. I should import this one into consumer. Okay, now still it is showing even after importing this function interface into function interface, like wrapper type for function interface, that is into consumer, it was still showing error. Okay, if we see here, the type into consumer is not generic, it cannot be parameters with the argument int. Okay, so it was telling it is not a generic type because you are mentioning here itself int. You are writing this generic type is not required. See here, I just removed the generic type. What it was telling? It was telling the type into consumer is not generic. Why it is not generic? And it cannot be parameters with the int argument. It was telling this integer generic type is not required. Why it is not required? Because you are telling the consumer you should take type of int parameter as an input. Okay, that is the reason it was telling. So if you apply wrapper type before the consumer, then generic type is not required for that. Okay, so I just removed. What will happen? It was taking input as automatically JVM will like understand this is of type consumer functional interface, which takes input as an int. Okay, now p parameter p1 is of type int. Okay, that's why I'm passing 10. Let me run this one. So it was into consumer returning 10. Okay, let me change it to double. I should import this one first. I just imported, but it was not throwing error because it was taking integer, it was converted into double. Let me run this one. See, the precision is, you can see, 10.0. so automatically it will convert like auto upgrade, right? That's why it was taking double. Wrapper type consumers are like normal consumer function interfaces only, but you are adding double wrapper type before the consumer. So, and it was telling the consumer it should accept this wrapper type whatever you are mentioning before the consumer, right? Either double into long float boolean type. So it was telling the consumer you should take the wrapper type as an input and generic type is not required. Okay, so that case you should go for the wrapper type consumers. Okay, and if you see this one, same to the some other function interface like I should take predicate. Int or long predicate. I am importing long predicate. Predicate is the one which takes single parameter and returns true or false. Okay, return param 1 equal to 10. Okay, so I am taking this statement outside. and dot test method I am passing 10. Okay, it's a predicate not supplier. Okay, I am passing 10, which was checking 10 param 10 equal to 10 or not. Okay, just running this one, predicate 10 equal to 10, that's why it was returning true for the long predicate. Okay, like this we can apply different wrapper types to the existing function interfaces. Like this is all about the like wrapper type function interfaces. Okay, let me see the third one. This is object, it will take object as input and ss as input. So it will take the two inputs, one is object type, another one is ss type. Ss is like into long, flow to double, boolean types. Okay, definition is like it takes two inputs of types, two inputs and of type object and wrapper type, and returns nothing. So it will take two input, one is of type object and another one is of type ss type. So it will take two input parameters and returns nothing. So returns nothing means if we see our function interfaces, the first one is consumer, takes input parameter and returns nothing. So this is applicable for the consumer function interface. It is applicable for consumer functional interface. Okay, so for supplier it doesn't take anything, right? Supplier is the function interface which doesn't take any value and returns something, but here it should from this definition it should take object and ss type as the two input parameters, but supplier doesn't take anything. It is not applicable for the supplier. And then predicate takes as input and returns nothing. As per the definition it should not return anything, but predicate is returning, right? That's why it was not applicable for the predicate. And it is unary and binary also takes unary takes single and returns something, but as per the definition it should not return, that's why it is not applicable for the unary. Binary also it takes two input parameters and returns single value. So binary returning value, but definition, as per the definition it should not return anything, that's why it is not applicable for the binary operator. So it is applicable only for the consumer function interface. Okay, and these interfaces, all these function interfaces are available in Java.util package only. Object and wrapper type input functional interfaces. So let me take a small example. List of values, that is integer. Importing the list with the system. So I have created an object of the list which is of type integer, and I have assigned list of values to the list object. Okay, consumer list list of integer type obj con consumer equal to the object into consumer which takes two input parameters, that is param1 comma param2. So it doesn't generally consumer is the function interface which takes single input parameter and doesn't return anything, right? So now the object in as per the definition, object into consumer is the function interface which takes two input parameters and doesn't return anything. Okay, so that's why I'm taking two input parameters. Okay, if param1 dot contains param2, then return param2. Exist. List. Not exist. Okay, list comma 20 object into consumer. Okay, now if you see this example, object into consumer which takes two input parameters, that is param1 and param2 are the input parameters, and integer consumer itself not returning anything, so object into obj into consumer also doesn't return anything. Okay, so it takes two input parameters, one is the list of values. So here I created list of type integer and having values 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. At the list I am passing as the first input type, that is of obj object type, and the second one is of integer type, so I am passing 20 as an integer. So param1 contains list of values, param2 contains the 20. Now in the inside that lambda implementation for the accept method, I am just checking whether the param1 dot contains param2 means, so param1 contains list of values, right? I am checking in the param1 that param2, that is the int value available in param1 or not, using if else condition. So if the param exists, it will return object into consumer, param1 exists, else it returns not exist. Okay, let me run this one. Fiji object into consumer 20 exist. Okay, so it is exist. Suppose I pass 70 and see not exist, 70 not exist. Same thing we can apply for the object long consumer obj double consumer. So like object into consumer, we can also use object long consumer, object double consumer. Object data type consumer function interface. Okay, this is all about the object data type function interfaces. Now we will see, so far we have covered three types of the other function interfaces. Let's see the next one. 2SS means 2SS function interface. Okay, Here two SS function interfaces. Here SS means any wrapper type, and a function interfaces means any one of the predefined functional interfaces. Okay, so SS means anything like int, long, double, float. Okay, functional interfaces means consumer, supplier, predicate, binary, unary function. For this case, right, it is applicable. Function interface means either function or bifunctional interfaces for this case only. This definition: a function which takes a single value as input and returns here SS represents presents int, long, double. Okay, this type of functional interface is applicable for the function and bifunction. Applicable for function and bifunction functional interfaces only. Okay, this is the first one. This is the second one, and this is the third one, and it is available in Java.util.function package. Okay, let me see the example. To wrapper type functional interface. Okay, so let me create this method. It is applicable for the function and bifunction interface. I am taking function interface. Function interface is an interface which takes single argument returns of type SS. If you are not aware of this one, please go through my previous videos so that you will get some idea on this function and bifunctional functional interfaces. Okay, so let me write. Let me take an example. To int into function which takes integer type to int function interface equal to, I'm taking param1 return param1 dot. Okay, let me import this one before. So it is available in Java8 function package. I am importing the same. What is this here equal to? Sorry, dot into value to d function dot apply as an int. Okay, as well as the sort to int function. Okay, now if you observe this function to wrapper type function interface, so it is of type to int function interface. To int means it will come and you take the input of type input type and convert it into integer type. Okay, now the to into function interface, I'm creating object of reference for a object of it, so which takes single, as per the definition of function interface, it takes a single input value and returns some value. So to into function also works like function interface only, so it was taking to single input value, but that input value I am converting into value and then returning. So why it is returning integer type means you are telling to the function interface, the return value should be of type to convert the return value to 2 into. So in the interface itself we are telling convert the given input value to 2 int value. That's why it was given as 2 into functional interface. Okay, so I am passing as a 10 and then it was converting into value and then returning. Okay, let me run this one. You see it was returning 10 only. Like this it will work for too long function to double function and also by function. Too long two int and two double by function. So you can try with this with you can try some examples on this using different kinds of data types with the functional interface, that is too long function, too double function, two into by function and two double by function, too long by function. Okay, so when should we go for this one means when you want to pass some value, single value, and you want to convert that into of type ss type, so that case we should go for the two wrapper type functional interfaces. Okay, this is all about the two wrapper type functional interfaces. Let's see one more type, ss to xx functional interfaces. Here ss to xx function interfaces. Here ss and xx represents data types or wrapper types. Okay, a functional interface is like our function predefined function interfaces. Okay, so first define the definition. A function which takes ss as input value and returns xx type. Okay, this is the first point, and it is available in these ss to xx function interface are available in java.util.function interface. Okay, available in java.util.function package, and it is applicable applicable to function interface only. Okay, so it is applicable only to the function interface. Okay, here ss represents, here ss and xx represents int, long and double. Okay, so this is about the like ss to let me see an example of this for this type. Let me see example. Let me write function interface of type integer, right, into 2 long function equal to param1 param 1. Okay, so I'm just printing into to long function into to long function dot sorry, here I need to pass long dot apply. So this is like a normal function interface. So it was taking a single input value and returns the returns the single value. Okay, so for apply I am passing 10, so it was just I am just passing and printing the same. Okay, so returning 10. Okay, let me run this one. So into to long function which takes input as 10 and also returning the 10. Okay, which takes input value 10 and return value also same, because I am not doing anything, I am just returning the input parameter itself. This is the function interface. So now I want to apply ss to xx function interface to the function interface. Okay, ss to xx. So what I am taking as input integer. Okay, so I want to convert integer into, I am converting to long. I am taking input as an int and I am converting it to long. Okay, so into to long like this. Okay, and applying to the function interface. Function interface takes single input and single return value, right? Like this only I am doing. I am applying int too long before the function interface. Then why it is throwing error means it doesn't accept the generic types, because generic types, that is integer and integer of input type and output type, it should not accept. Why it is not accepting or mentioning before the function interface only into too long. So here itself you are telling take the integer type as input and return the long as an output. Then that case we shouldn't require these generic types. That's why I am removing generic types. Now if you see, it was not throwing any error. Okay, the method is different and long. Okay, into too long, so I am apply as long. So it was telling passing 10 and it was goes to the long. Apply as long means you are converting it to long, right? So that only into to you are taking into and applying as long means take the input as a 10 and apply it, convert into to long. That is what we are doing here. Let me run this one. So it was returning 10. Suppose I want to make it as a double. You don't see any difference into too long, right? Let me see. Apply as double. Okay, let me run this one. See, you see the precision now. Earlier you don't see the difference, now you can see the difference. It took 10 as input and returning 10.0. that is it was added precision because you are converting it to double, right? We have other types of also. So like this only, this is the function, right? So we have seen into to double, right? We have into to long also, long to double, long to into type, and here double to int, and double to long. So these are the other conversion types of the function interface. You try with this other types of the function interfaces. So this is like when you want to take an input type in when you want to take some input value and convert into to other type of data type, then you should go for the function this int ss to xx type function interface. Okay, let me keep all these things in separate method. Okay, wrapper or to other or wrapper type functional interfaces. Okay, so this I'm just moving this entire thing into the separate method. So this is all about the other types of the function interfaces. Okay, so we have seen by function interface and ss function interfaces, object ss type function interfaces, so two ss type function interfaces, ss to xx function interfaces. Okay, this is all about the other types of the functional interfaces. Please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. Well, for more videos click on the bell icon. See you in the next session with the new topic. Thank you.